Hey guys, Square with Camel EDV. I've got our KTM 790 Adventure R here. If you follow the web forums, Adventure Rider, YouTube, whatever, you have no doubt seen the issue with the rear shock failures on this bike. A little bit problematic, seems to be quite widespread. KTM's currently got a backlog of about 2 months, or I should say wait. They're out of stock. ETA is about 2 months for shocks. So it is a fairly common failure. I've got a half dozen friends that have the same bike, ranging from about 150 pounds to me at about 255, 260. And everybody except me has blown the shock on their bike, riding from just down the road to hard off-road. It doesn't seem to matter what you're riding, what you weigh. There's shock issues with these bikes. Once I started hearing about these failures, having a look at the bike, trying to figure out what the issue is, looked at some part numbers. The seals, the bushings are the same in this shock as other WP units that aren't having this issue. The problem is the giant catalytic converter that's in this bike. The bike is set up for Euro 5 emissions, so the catalytic converter is like the size of a soccer ball or football, and the shock is directly over top of it. The catalytic converter is hundreds of degrees when the bike is running. The shock is aluminum body. The heat from the catalytic converter straight up into the shock overheats the oil. You get thermal breakdown on the oil. It no longer protects the metal on metal, the bushing to the shaft. Most of the shock failures on these bikes have got some scoring on the shaft, which leads me to believe that that's exactly what's going on. There's not the oil film between the bushing and the shaft like it needs to be, and it's causing scoring, taking out the seals. I believe there's probably some other issues going on with the shock too, but heat is the main one. Once I started looking at the bike, I knew that this was the main contributing factor to the shock failures. So we've got the cat here, we've got the shock here, heat coming up into the shock from the cat. So I made a heat shield, and like I said, I'm the only one out of my riding group that hasn't blown the rear shock. I'm also the biggest, and I ride harder than most. The heat shield is quick and easy to install. There's one bolt here. We've got a mounting tab on the back, another couple bolts there. So the heat shield here, it's aluminum, TIG welded. This neck goes around the header pipe to where it connects on the slip-on, and it's ceramic coated. So the coating on here is good for 1200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is way more than we need, but it helps control heat coming through the heat shield into the shock. When we pump a bunch of heat into the shock, the oil gets thinner. When it's thinner, it's more apt to get around the seal and leak. Also, you get heat fade on the shock, so your suspension is not working the way that it's supposed to. The oil is going through the shim stacks faster than it's intended, and you get heat fade. You get the pogo stick action over rough terrain. Also, your service intervals are going to go way down. You're going to need to service your shock far more with the more heat that you put into it. Heat is the enemy of oil. So a simple heat shield will go a long way to keeping your shock in good health, and you'll be able to enjoy your ride more. So we've got the heat shields in two different colors. This is the matte black, and this is the high luster silver. And you can check this stuff out on the website, camel-adv.com. Thanks for watching.